Welcome to the Anyone But Cam Fantasy Football Podcast. I'm your commissioner. My name is Frankie. Sitting across me is Cam. Cam, how's it going?
It's going pretty good. How about yourself, Frankie?
I'm not well, I'll be honest with you.
Why not?
I thought I turned a new leaf. I thought last season was an anomaly. They say if something happens once, it's an event. If it happens twice, it's a coincidence. If it happens 3 times, it's a pattern. We're on number 2.
Halfway there.
And I'm not quite sure it's a coincidence. But we're not here to talk about my team. We're here to talk about the league. Week 1 just happened. Very exciting stuff. Thank you to everyone who's been checking out the podcast recently. Appreciate all you listening and all your feedback so far, constructive or not. So we're going to get right into it. The things we're going to talk about today, we're going to talk about go over some logistical issues, topics more than issues. We're going to do a recap of last week, do the first edition of our power rankings, and we're going to do a preview of next week, and we'll have a mailbag section to end it off. Sound good to you?
Sounds great.
Alrighty. So recently, Cam put a poll into our Sleeper chatting app, and it was about the buy-in, and we had everyone vote for the buy-in. And what did we all vote for? Well,
if we look at the poll, the majority of the people voted for $25, and the next highest was for $10. So there's definitely a lot on the extreme ends.
Yes.
But the average of all the votes ended up being about $19. So I think we're gonna have the buy-in be $20, which is, I think it's a happy medium.
Yeah, I think that works just fine. Twice of last year, we're not breaking anyone's bank, I don't think.
Yeah, no.
By adding $10 more to it, add some more stake to it. So any of you can pay me whenever you want.
So we're gonna pay you for the buy-in?
I think so. I think that probably makes the most sense.
Yeah.
I think I'll just put out the call to action now to pay me when possible, and eventually as the season progresses, I will hound you down until you finally pay me.
We can trust you because you have the moral high ground.
Something like that. All right, next topic for our logistical stuff. We have one division without a name still. It's Division 1, I think it's what it goes by now.
Yeah, with Dylan, Justin, then it has Greg and JP in it? No. Greg and Levi.
That sounds right. Yeah, come on, dudes. What are you doing?
I mean, let's be honest. None of those guys really care about the league. I know we have Dylan, who's always just trying to undermine the legitimacy of it.
Absolutely.
Justin, commissioner, doesn't care at all. Levi, where is he even? We just got to talk to his brother, I guess. And then Greg likes to put in effort. I can get behind him.
I just would think from a division with 2 former champions, a co-commissioner, and probably the person with the biggest mouth in the entire league would just come up with something to say, you know what I mean?
I guess we just got to be disappointed in him until they can figure out something.
Yeah. So anyways, come up with a name, or don't. I don't care. Division sucks anyways. Is there anything else we can think of, or are we going to move on?
Let's see what happened last weekend.
Yeah, I think so. Alrighty. So we will start a weekly rewind. We had some barn burner matches last week, some very exciting stuff. Let's see, we got here we are. I guess we'll start off the top with Dylan versus Levi. So now, I don't know how many of all of you are familiar with the concept and the subreddit group of the Evil League of Evil, but it's a subreddit dedicated to fans of all of the teams in the NFL that have had lots of success in over a sustained period of time. So it's composed of the Patriots, Packers, Bears, Steelers, Giants, and Niners. I think that's the Evil League of Evil. So I was thinking we could have something kind of similar to that in our own group, because there is a divide between people that are considered the tryhards and people who are considered the people who are just kind of here to have fun. So we came up with the idea of a tryhard chalice.
The chalice of the tryhards.
Yes, and so the way that you win the chalice is that Levi his brother at least is considered to be a part of the tryhard part of the league. And in this first week, he played against Dylan, who is also a tryhard. Mm-hmm. Dylan ended up beating Levi, so Dylan now owns the chalice, and Dylan will retain the chalice until he faces somebody else in the tryhard group, and if whoever wins that match will retain. And by the end of the season, it's kind of just a little fun thing to keep a track of. However, the chalice will not be up for grabs this week because he is playing Justin, as we all know.
Justin is not a tryhard.
Not a tryhard, as it turns out.
The only person in this league to have auto drafted, at least at some point of their draft.
It's true. So congratulations to you, Dylan. You have the chalice at least for another week or two. Let's look ahead to week 3. Who's he playing? He's playing Greg week 3, so he'll retain week 3.
JP next. Not gonna happen there.
Probably not gonna be there. Dylan's gonna hold this for a while. Week 5, here we go.
He plays Lassie.
He plays Lassie. Week
I think
5.
he falls in the try-hard group.
Yes, absolutely. Week 5, we'll see the next matchup of the Try Hard Chalice. So everyone, stay tuned for that. So do we have some thoughts on any other thoughts on Dylan versus Levi? He definitely he smacked the former champ around.
Let's
Levi,
be honest.
I mean, like, Levi, what are you doing, man?
He's just got to talk to his brother, I guess, get him to figure his stuff out.
Okay, Jordan, what are you doing, man? Yeah, I mean, rough games from Derrick Henry and Duke Johnson. Michael Thomas is a stud as always. That guy's crazy.
I see a lot of red from his players. A lot of them underperformed. Levi's got to be hoping that they step up next week.
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to watch a lot of these games because of our camping, but I'm looking at 1.1 points from Travis Kelce. What happened there? 1 for 6? Oh my God.
Mahomes, get it together, man.
Yeah. Which is Mahomes, who got 28 points for Dylan. But yeah.
Not to Travis Kelce, I guess.
Yeah. So, yeah, Dylan owns the chalice for now. Congratulations, Dylan. I think we're good to move on here.
Mm-hmm.
Next, move on. We're going to Greg versus Justin. Greg versus Justin. Cam, this was your upset pick of the week last week.
I gotta say, I got pretty close, but
Very close.
as many teams fall in the NFL to Aaron Rodgers, I too fell to Aaron Rodgers' magical comeback.
Yeah, that game was something. The second half of that game was something else.
Yeah, it was. Justin's got to be furious at that Bears defense, let's be honest.
Yeah. Just looking at Justin's team. Well, I guess how many times can we say that? We're going to say it a few times. I think that the tight ends were just kind of all garbage this week. And then -4 from the Chargers defense.
Yeah.
But a good showing from Joe Mixon. That's got to be promising. Some question marks around him going this season. Pretty average to below average performance for Christian McCaffrey.
Justin's just got to feel a little lucky because if he played no defense at all, he would have still lost to Greg, but this time only by like 0.3 points.
Yeah, but Greg would have started a running back then.
That's true.
And he would have, whoever he started would have
Marshawn
won.
Lynch, yeah.
Yeah, Marshawn would have won easily.
Pretty smart move by Greg, but it might not help his spot in the power rankings not having as many points for.
Yeah, and I mean, we'll see what the extent of Fournette's injury is here going forward, but I don't know. It's looking like he isn't really practicing this week, so I don't know. We'll see what happens there.
Yeah, Greg doesn't have a lot of depth there, so he's got to be hopeful.
Yeah. Alrighty, moving on. The headline matchup from last week, myself versus Logan. Oh man, I miss Le'Veon Bell. But, I still, I know that this wasn't exactly the barn burner we were all looking for, but I had a lot of fun. Tevin Coleman, only 11 points, but still, rooting for him was a lot of fun.
Logan's got to be very happy about his special teams and defense for this game. Combining to get him 35 points definitely helped him put him over the top.
Yeah, specifically that. I think there's a couple different calls. Obviously, as we all know, hindsight is 50-50. But if I were to change a couple of things, I think I would definitely, as much as I love Chris Boswell, it didn't make sense for me to start him with the kind of conditions the game's going in. It's kind of a product of not having cell phone coverage in the out camping. But, and then, I don't know. I felt like I was between a rock and a hard place, trying to trade for James Conner and not having that go through in time. And then I thought a lot about starting Fitzpatrick this last week, just because there was one week I played him last year and he went off for me, and I thought this could be a week.
Fitzpatrick was the highest scoring quarterback last week. That would have been good for you.
Yeah, I feel like that was lightning in a bottle that I just missed out. So I'm not sure if Fitzpatrick's going to be able to repeat that too well. But yeah, I was looking over at Logan's side here. Deion Lewis did work for him in his flex. Oh my God.
Yeah, he did. And just seeing that Doug Baldwin with the 0 points because of that injury,
Yeah.
it's pretty impressive that Logan still put up as many points as he did.
Yeah, it's absolutely true. Yeah, I guess we get. Let's see. Is there anything else here? Carlos Hyde doing better. Carlos Hyde doing better than I expected, at least. I don't know. When I look at this, I mean, I guess the touchdown really is what kind of put him over. But 62 yards isn't anything to scoff at necessarily.
Yeah. All right,
Yeah.
moving on.
Moving on.
Next matchup we got is Austin Lassiter versus our highest scorer of the week, Jacob Pond.
Jesus, Jake, you gotta calm down there, man. You gotta share some points with me or something.
Yeah, just looking at Jake's team, definitely a lot of boom from that wide receiver position.
Yeah, I was saying a little bit before the show that I mean this has to be Deshaun Jackson's best week of the season, right?
I mean, he did get a concussion that game,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
it's not going to look well for him in the future weeks.
Yeah, Gronk did very well, as always, to be expected. Let's see here. Saquon saved his week with one rush, basically.
Yeah, that 68-yard touchdown, which was a thing of beauty.
Yeah, although that still was not enough to put him over the hump here against Jake. Emmanuel Sanders went off too. Emmanuel Sanders is a player I was a bit more down on him going into the draft this season, but I'm already looking at him, and I guess I was wrong.
I guess we could probably expect that seeing your team, huh, Frankie?
Other thing I wanted to note was we know Jake's bench is low on running back talent for sure, or running backs in general.
Definitely.
But I mean, his late round picks, Tyler Lockett, Geronimo Allison, they're looking pretty good week one.
And last year's team, 31 of his points came from Drew Brees. I'm not sure if he's going to repeat that every week, so Lass has got to find some other ways to replicate that production.
Yeah, we'll see if the Saints defense figures out how to play football like last season. He won't have to be putting up those kind of numbers of 400 plus yards.
Jeez.
Yeah, that's pretty wild.
All right. Next matchup between the Alphas division
Yes.
is Jake Logan and Devin Distant. This has to be the closest game from last week, right, Frankie?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, just looking at it, like they pretty much went blow for blow. Even, I mean, it's rough on Devin just because of the Mariota injury.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like he was definitely primed to win this week, and that's just kind of something. I don't know. It just happens. It's just part of football, and it sucks. But I don't know. You can't blame him too much for starting him over an Alex Smith.
Definitely. One thing that I do like about this matchup, though, is that it gave us some quality meme content from Jake Logan freaking out over Todd Gurley.
Yeah, it's true.
And I think it's very possible that meme magic might have been what saved Jake.
Yeah. You guys keep making those memes. Maybe we'll do something for you one of these days. Maybe we won't. Who knows?
Meme power rankings. I see it in the future.
Cooper Kupp going off. He's looking like a legit receiver out there.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. And then with Jake, I mean, I guess Jake won, and maybe in his own mind, on the back of the intangibles of Jake Elliott, but only 4 points for him.
Yeah, not a great showing from those intangibles.
But I mean, you don't need a great showing, you just need intangibles, right? Alrighty. Last matchup of the week, Cam versus Tyler. Very exciting. I wanted to see Tyler win this match quite a bit.
I'm sure most people did.
Not because I have anything against you in particular, Cam, but I don't know, man. I love seeing Tyler putting up 122 points, or almost 123 points, and still losing his week one matchup. Welcome to the league.
This is definitely a welcome to the league kind of game. It
Yeah.
was the highest scoring matchup in the league, which I know
Yeah.
makes both me and Tyler feel pretty confident.
Yeah.
Overall, I got a lot of boom from certain players. Makes me feel pretty good about it.
Yeah. This is a feast it's a feast or famine for your team. Look at you had Kamara, Gordon, Hill all in a row, and then you have Hogan, Burden, and Hunt all pretty much busting last week. Wow.
I got 3 people on my team adding up for almost 100 points, and then 4 people on my team adding up for maybe 10.
Yeah,
It's a good time.
I think obviously Ben's a super clear bounce back candidate for next week. Hogan maybe not so much. And who's Chicago play next week? They
Seattle.
play Seattle on Monday Night Football. Okay, they could do some stuff there. We'll see. Kareem Hunt versus the Steelers defense.
Overall, this was a matchup between the second highest scoring team, and Tyler ended up being the fourth highest scoring team. It's a pretty good fight.
Yeah. Yeah, good enough to beat both the other members in that division. So looking good. I think we know the top two. I think we know who the two players to look out for right now probably are.
Especially in the Alphas division.
That's what I meant in the Alphas.
Jake, Logan, Devin, be on the lookout.
So that was all the games from last week.
Mm-hmm.
Now that we saw all our games, let's do some way too early
Week 1.
power rankings.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Alrighty. Cam, you came up with the power rankings this week. Usually my thing, stealing my thunder, or I'm just too busy this week. Don't worry, I'll be back. But we got some interesting power rankings here. It's tough to do some up through the first week only, but I mean, we've played. Most of us have played football enough to know, to have an idea where some of these trends might be heading.
Definitely. So when I made these rankings, I kind of divided it into 3 separate tiers. You know, the tiers that I think are the teams to beat, and then some teams in tier 2 that could, sneak into playoffs, but could easily just fall apart down the stretch. And some teams in tier 3 that, got to make some drastic adjustments in order to make it far in this league.
You're making this kind of playoff stuff in week 1.
You got it, man. Always looking ahead.
All right. Well, I think you have the privilege of looking ahead.
Speaking of my privilege, I gotta go with my first overall team in the power rankings as myself.
Yes.
I'm always one to be humble, but it's tough to be humble when you're scoring as many points as I am.
Yeah.
We talked about it earlier, how I got a lot of boom from a lot of players, and a lot of people that busted, but I feel like a lot of them will, come back, get some more points.
Mm-hmm.
Kareem Hunt, always a threat to score a lot of points. Chris Hogan on that Patriots offense, don't think he's only catching 1 pass each week. Other than that, I got a lot of depth on my bench too, with Adrian Peterson scoring 20 points on my bench. What? Yeah. If we look at the next team on my power rankings, it is actually Mr. Dylan Mikkonen, 69. That's his name on Sleeper Bot. Looking at his team, there's not really any weak spots in it. Where you had my team with a lot of bust and a lot of boom, Dylan's team is just all solid performers,
Yeah.
Only 1 or 2 people scored less than 10 points, being his kicker and his running back, but then you also have his defense dropping a -9.
Yeah.
Not a good showing from them. And they're still on his team. I don't know what he's thinking about that.
I mean, and at least so far in the season, I think it's safe to say he's probably struggled with the James Conner pick.
Yeah, that's definitely, if James Conner keeps doing what he's doing right now, that could be a league winner right there. Yeah, Dylan, you got a solid team, but not quite as solid as mine. Don't worry. Next team up, we got Jacob Pond. Some might be a little confused that our week's highest scorer is only 3rd. But there are actually some reasons for that.
I'm not confused.
First of all, there was a lot of points scored from his wide receivers that I'm not quite sure are replicatable, like we talked about with Deshaun Jackson.
Yeah.
Second off, if we look at his bench, there's no running back depth whatsoever. He's got Giovanni Bernard, who had 1 carry for -2 yards and 1 catch last week. Other than that, if one of his starting running backs goes down, he's basically boned. Yeah, but still, his team scored enough points to where I think he deserves to be in this top tier at the 3rd spot.
Yeah, I agree with that, at least for now.
Next up, some people might not be expecting this, but my 4th team in power rankings is Gregory Bates. Look, he was who I thought was going to get upset last week. Didn't end up working. But then seeing his team now, there's not a lot of holes in it. Assuming Leonard Fournette's not injured, he's still got Marshawn Lynch that he can start. His wide receivers are solid. His flex spot putting up 25 points is pretty great.
Yeah.
And then Aaron Rodgers is always there to win him weeks, The bench, not great, which is kind of common with these non-try-hard teams. But if his starters keep performing like they were doing, it's going to be tough to beat Greg week in and week out.
Yeah, I mean, it's always a statement when you can just not start a running back 2 and still win a week. Yeah. And so that was the tier 1, top tier. I'm going to the middle tier now. And we'll kick it off with a one Justin Moss.
Yeah, Justin, the team that Greg just narrowly beat, which helped put Justin down a tier and Greg up a tier. Some good stuff about his team is that his starting lineup is pretty stacked. It helps having an extra first round pick.
Yeah.
But he's got 2 solid running backs with Christian McCaffrey and Joe Mixon, 2 solid wide receivers with Odell Beckham and T.Y. Hilton. You know, Jimmy Graham, not a great tight end, but in this league so far, not many tight ends are great.
Yeah.
And his flex spot, you know, he's got to find something better than just Peyton Barber, who gets him 6.9 points. But other than that, he's got a lot of solid production on that team. Justin Tucker, you know, Justin loves getting those good kickers, and Justin Tucker is one of the best in the league.
It's true. Very true. Alrighty. Next up, we have a one Logan.
Logan Roth. You know, I'd say Logan's kind of the king of the non-tryhards, or at least he'd like to dub himself that.
Okay.
Which is also known as the consolation bracket winner.
Yeah.
But Logan scoring the 150 points he did without Doug Baldwin just isn't a testament to how great his team can be. His bench didn't do great for him, but he's got some long-term prospects on there with Sony Michel and, you know, maybe Robbie Anderson. But there is one problem with Logan's team that I have.
Oh, what is this?
Oh, I think that it's actually the coach.
The coach?
Yeah, and I'd like to introduce a new award that we'll
boy.
be handing out at points during this season.
Another new award?
Yes, it is.
I'm going to coach this team as long as my key card works.
That's right. We got the Ben McAdoo Award for the worst coaching decisions that we can find.
But Cam, he won this week. What are you talking about?
He did win this week, but he also lost in waivers.
Oh, what do you mean?
Logan Roth dropping $70 a piece, was it?
Yes.
On both
Quincy
and Enunwa and
a young Philip Lindsay.
Philip Lindsay on Denver. So, you know, $70 for a player, you know, could be done if you trust that player to get a lot of points.
Yes.
But I think if we ask around the league, no one else really put in more than $10, $15 on these players.
Yes.
So Logan definitely could have saved almost $100 of fab if he just had some reasonable, you know, high bids on these players. So there's something to be said about saving your money for the future, but it's hard to ask Walton kids to do something like that, you know?
It's true, and I get that I think the Lindsay pick is a bit of a panic from a bit of what we saw a bit of a committee with him and Royce Freeman. But what are you gonna do with Philip Lindsay then? Are you gonna start both of them? Or are you gonna just guess week in week out?
Yeah,
like
honestly.
I don't totally get it. And Quincy Enunwa, short $70.
I just realized that both of these waiver pickups are just basically handcuffs for people Logan already has on his team with Robbie Anderson and Royce Freeman.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know. Anyway, that's why I get to the award.
I guess we'll just have to see how long they actually stay on Logan's team.
Yeah, that's very true. Back to the power rankings. This next one surprises me a bit. You might have to go into a bit more detail.
Why is that?
Of why Tyler Walker is now ranked so low in Tier 2.
You know, Tyler Walker, he gave me a good run this week in our matchup. You know, I was definitely scared at certain points. But there are a few things that I'm not a fan of on his team. One of those is James White as his running back.
That's very true.
Because if he's not starting James White, he's starting either Rob Kelly or Nick Chubb. And they both got 3 carries this week. Definitely not someone that I want to have to start in my lineup.
Yes, but if you remember, Nick Chubb has 3 carries, but he's also a top 3 running back talent in the league.
Oh, yeah. Talent is very important in fantasy football, but, you know, you can be as talented as you want, never touch the ball, and you're scoring 2.1 points.
That's very true.
Otherwise, though, Tyler's team's very solid. You know, you got to hope for more production from Matthew Stafford if you're going to start him at quarterback. But other than that, Delaney Walker got injured this week. It's not looking good for him. He has David Njoku on his bench, but he also only scored 2.8 points that week. I don't know how much you can really trust him going forward.
Yeah, it's now that you explain it, I guess I get it. But I don't know. I just I think Tyler. I want to be nice to Tyler.
Thanks for joining the league.
Yeah,
man.
Tyler, you're the best.
All right. Next up, we got another team from the Alphas division. The winner of his matchup, Jacob
The
Logan.
bottom of the second tier, number 8.
Yes. Still got some solid prospects, but he's got to do some work to get there. What I don't like about this team, there's honestly not much. Like, Devonta Freeman got injured,
Yes.
so he didn't put up as many points as he could have this last week.
Mm-hmm.
But you're not sure how much of a timeshare he's really in, so that's kind of scary. Other than that, OJ Howard, he got a decent amount of points this week, but he still only had 2 targets, so how much can you really rely on that?
Mm-hmm.
And then another problem we got is going to the bench. There's not a lot of running back depth if he has to worry about Devonta Freeman actually being injured. He can start Isaiah Crowell, who had a good week, but a lot of that was based on a couple big runs.
Yeah.
Don't know how much you can trust him. Jordan Wilkins, still in a committee too with Marlon Mack. And other than that, there's nobody.
Yeah, very true. Also, just like I feel like this is going to be one of the bigger weeks of the season for Mike Evans. I don't know. I'm still very much out on him as a player this season, but it could be very, very wrong. And the Cooper Cup, it's just like one of those things where it's like, is this a glow up or is this just a pop for a touchdown? I don't know. We'll see.
But at least he's not down here in the lowly Tier 3.
Tier 3.
Headlined by one and only Devin Distant.
Devin Distance.
Yes, the lowest score in our Alphas division, but a lot of that could be due to the Marcus Mariota injury. But other things on this team do scare me, such as he doesn't really have any wide receivers I'd want to call my wide receiver 1 on his team. Brandon Cooks, he's got a lot of talent, but that Rams offense likes to spread the ball around. I'm not sure how much production you can get out of him. Nelson Aguilar, as long as Alshon Jeffrey's injured, could do all right. I guess he does also have Alshon on his team, but you have no idea how long he's going to be out.
Yeah, I mostly agree with that statement until you said, well, I mean, but he has Kenny Galladay, and have you seen how smooth his routes are?
Kenny G, man.
I mean,
I love him.
I would love to call Kenny G a wide receiver 1 on any of my teams. Just kidding. But
he's got some solid ability to force some fumbles.
Yeah, and I think we saw it work really well for Devin last season with relying on the Eagles in general. And we saw they're having a lot of offensive troubles right now with Wentz being out and turnover with the offensive coordinator. So the first weekend wasn't so great, but we do have a very own correspondent from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania here, ready to give us some insight on how the Eagles are going to do the rest of the season. What are you thinking? What are some of your thoughts on how the Eagles are going to perform?
Philly Dilly.
Thanks to you for that astute observation.
Levi, Jordan, whatever your name is, you are next on the power rankings.
Our former champ has definitely fallen down the rankings quite a bit.
Yeah.
A lot of that on the back of his running backs, who combined for 6.6 points last week. Not a great showing. Derrick Henry, Duke Johnson, both backs in a committee who aren't even the primary backs there.
Yeah.
But he also has Chris Thompson, another committee back who isn't the primary back, who can score a lot of points. And Matt Breida, I guess, also could score a lot of points. Mark Ingram is on his team right now. I guess another back who is not the main back in his committee. So Levi's definitely hoping to just piece together some production from them and then get carried by his wide receivers, which can happen due to the awesomeness of Michael Thomas and DeAndre Hopkins. But he's got to get better showing from DeAndre Hopkins if he wants that to really happen.
Yeah, very true. Michael Thomas is so good. Oh my God. Alrighty. And we're down to the last two. Number 11, Austin Lassiter. What's going on, man?
Lassie. You got a lot of production from Drew Brees, your quarterback, and Saquon Barkley, your first overall pick. But after that, your early picks aren't looking too great. LaShawn McCoy and Amari Cooper both getting 2-point-something points is not what you want out of your top, second, and third round picks. That could easily just put you in a hole that you can't get out of for this season. Luckily, though, you got some solid wide receivers on your team coming from the Browns and the Lions' Golden Tate. But those are going to be some tough start-sit decisions you're going to have to make in order to get that team over the hump.
Yeah, going back to like the Sean McCoy thing, like I have a feeling that Buffalo is going to be down a lot this season.
Just a bit.
And so unless they get him start getting going in the passing game, which he has before, I don't know. I think conventional wisdom says to get running backs on good teams, and Buffalo's might be the worst team in the league.
Yeah.
So, yeah, let's see. Okay, and now
For those following along at home, we have our 12th and final team,
I don't want to hear it.
King Frankie.
We gotta
Frankie
change my name.
It's tough to be a solid team when your first round pick decides not to play for his team.
Yeah.
But other than that, there's a lot of other down spots on this team. You know, Larry Fitzgerald doesn't put up as many points as you'd maybe want from your second round pick. Kenyon Drake, your third round pick, still underperforming a bit. That was a weird game, so you're not quite sure how it's going to go. But there is a lot of upside if Le'Veon Bell came back and you weren't forced to start Tevin Coleman week in and week out. But until that happens, it's going to be tough to get some wins with your team.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. You can't endure to get it going a bit, and I don't know. I feel like Larry didn't do gangbusters this week, but I still like him. I mean, I start him. I think he's still a great. I feel confident starting him every week, regardless of how terrible Sam Bradford looks. And Tevin Coleman's my boy. I don't want to hear you disparage Tevin Coleman ever again. Anyways, let's just move on.
That is the end of our power rankings.
Oh boy, I'm gonna make a prediction now, Cameron.
What's that?
By halfway through this season, I will no longer be in the bottom half of our rankings.
Ooh, Frankie's looking to jump up some tiers, huh?
If anyone wants to bet me on that, just let me know. I'm making some moves. It's only week 1, but we're making some moves, baby. It's coming.
It's going to be tough to make some waiver pickups when you got to drop $70 in FAB to get them.
Well, not anymore. Now that maniac is going to be out of the FABs for a while, I think. Alrighty, that was our power ranking section.
Mm-hmm.
And now we're going to look ahead to next week. We're going to highlight one matchup that just take a deep dive on instead of maybe going through every single matchup. And this week, we decided on... Well, I mean, if you're paid attention to our last podcast, I think you know which matchup we're talking about.
Yeah, you do. Dylan
versus Justin. Revenge game. I don't know what even else. It's a rivalry game. It's everything. It's looking close. Percentage-wise, win percentage of 54 to 46%. You have some real bad blood, at least from Dylan's side.
Dylan's been circling this game on his calendar ever since the schedule came out.
It's true. So let's see. What are we looking at? Who are we looking at for Justin's side to maybe make a big move and push him over Dylan?
All right. So Justin, he's got Odell Beckham playing in that Sunday night football game against Dallas, who could always go off for an insane amount of points.
True.
So no matter what happens to Justin's team, I think he's always got a shot up until that game is over. Otherwise, he's got solid running backs, like we said, good wide receivers. He's just got to hope that no one busts on his team because we know Dylan's team's nice and consistent when it wants to be.
Yeah, I'm feeling less than super confident about Joe Mixon this week facing that Baltimore in prime time. It's going to be rough, I think. It's not going to be... I think it's going to be harder than usual. And then, I don't know, I would never like to see Peyton Barber in my lineup.
Yeah, I definitely think Justin should take a long, hard look at his tight end and flex spots. Maybe look to get someone off the waivers or put on his bench to replace them, because they both got some pretty tough matchups.
Yeah, at the same time, though, I mean, I don't know. I could definitely see Graham going off, getting a touchdown or two just from Aaron Rodgers around the red zone to the 10 zone. And that might be what he's looking for to put him over the edge here.
Mm-hmm.
On Dylan's side, we got James Conner going against that Kansas City defense that Pittsburgh in the last several years has had Kansas City's number. They just can't seem to win against them. So I'm looking to see big things from Connor. Let's see here. What else we got? Mahomes against Pittsburgh. I don't know. We'll see.
An interesting note here. Dylan has Keenan Allen in his wide receiver 1 spot,
that's true.
but Justin has Phillip Rivers as his quarterback, going up against Buffalo, who we all know is pretty hot trash. So a lot of points could be put up in that game. Justin's got to hope they don't go to Keenan Allen.
Yeah, but even if they do, he'll get 4 points for Phillip Rivers touchdowns. Means he'll only be a -2 instead of a -6.
Yeah.
For a regular touchdown. Let's see. Some of Dylan's teams. Let's see. George Kittle. George Kittle did well last week, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
It's one of the few wide receiver, one of the few running, wide receiver, one of the few tight ends who did really well last week. And yeah, let's see. That's pretty much it here.
So one thing I would like to point out about this game, Dylan's favored. It might not be by much right now, but he's definitely got that, not an underdog kind of feel to him.
I think it's safe to say Dylan's the favorite.
Yeah, he's my second overall power rank team, whereas Justin's all the way down there at 5.
Yeah.
But despite that,
Oh boy.
I think this is my upset of the week.
I'm upset. I'm upset.
Louder!
I'm upset.
Louder!
I'm upset.
Say it louder!
I'm upset.
Wow, Cam, I just can't believe that one.
Yeah.
Our biggest matchup of the week, storyline-wise, you think it's going to be an upset? I think I will agree with you that this will be an upset. Justin, I am pulling for you for the excitement and because I just like to see Dylan fail.
We know he's got the try-hard chalice, but, that doesn't mean he's just automatically going to win all those noobs out there.
As my co-commissioner, I'll admit some bias there, but let's go, Justin. Let's go.
Justin's also got Joe Mixon on his team, which he definitely was able to keep out of Dylan's clutches. Yeah. So if Joe Mixon could be the thing that puts his team over the hump to beat Dylan, just be all sweeter in Dylan's tears.
I would love that. Alrighty, that was our deep dive into one matchup, our spotlight matchup from this upcoming week. And we're going to get to our last segment of the podcast, our mailbag. Mailbag, you guys can always submit questions to anyone but Cam at gmail.com. Any time of the week, just send them in. Got a couple questions this week. We have one question in from a Jake Logan, and he says, how much fab are you spending on Philip Lindsay? Well, I'll tell you how much I'm not spending.
What's that, Frankie?
I'm not spending $70. I will say that he submitted this question 2 days before the waivers cleared, so he was just saying this in advance, having no idea what was going to happen. So I liked the little bit of predicting the future kind of thing there.
That's pretty funny, honestly. I did not know that.
Yeah, so that was fun. Yeah, so I don't know, we talked about that at length, but oh my God, what was that? Anyways, next question from one Dylan McKinnon. And I gotta say, I was debating whether or not I was going to read this. I feel like it was kind of a personal attack against me. But we'll get into it anyways. Dylan writes, is Frankie ready to give me a real trade offer for James Conner now that he sees that his team is the one that should be named Explosive Poopies?
Oh, Dylan.
Just look at the stats. He scored the least points even with an outlier performance from Tevin Coleman. Thank you for highlighting a performance by Tevin Coleman, not an outlier. In fact, he will do better. He can and will do better. Dylan, work with me. That's all I ask of you. Just work with me, all right? Anyways, we have one more question to end this off here. Another question from one Jake Logan. He goes, which of the top 6 scoring teams do you think is least likely to repeat as a top 6 scorer next week? And also follows it up with, which of the bottom 6 scoring teams do you think is most likely to jump into a top 6 scoring position this week?
That's a very interesting question, Jake. I appreciate you sending that out to us.
Yeah.
As talking about top 6 teams that I don't think can repeat, I think I might actually have a hot take here.
Uh-oh.
But mine is that our top scorer of last week, Sir Jacob Pond, is not going to be able to pull off that top 6 score next week.
Yeah, you ranking pretty high in your rankings, though. It's a little hypocritical.
One reason that I think is pretty valid is Jake's team, as we know, is pretty dependent on the Patriots,
Yes.
who play Jacksonville this week.
And as we all know, they're a bunch of savages.
Savages.
Oh my. Yeah, I could definitely see that happening for sure. And then who are you thinking about a bottom 6 scorer who's gonna jump up this week? Maybe sneak in, jump a couple spots on power rankings potentially.
My bottom 6 scorer that I think could do better this week is Sir Devin Distant.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty tough for him because he's pretty reliant on the Eagles to score a lot of points, who had a tough matchup with the Falcons. But this week, Tampa Bay just got torched by the Saints. Mm-hmm. So maybe Devin can get some points out of that matchup. Hopefully that'll put him higher in the points scored category.
Yeah, as long as his quarterback doesn't get injured again, I think he'll be safe. I think he'll end probably in like number 5 or number 6. I think that's a pretty good.
His matchup right now is they're both projected for 112. Devin is 0.83. Tyler's 0.79. It's going to be a barn burner again for Devin.
That's definitely another one to definitely watch here.
Mm-hmm. The loser of that game is going to be 0-2.
Yeah, that's exciting. And this, as well as with my matchup against Austin, the loser of that will be 0-2 as well for sure. Yeah, it's going to be me. I'll give it a good shot, though. Anyways, I think that's everything for this week. Thank you, everyone, for listening to another episode of the Anyone But Cam Fantasy Football Podcast. I've been Frankie.
I'm Cam.
Next week, we're going to do a look back on the Week 2 matchups. We're going to look ahead to Week 3. We're going to see how all the teams are doing, getting new power rankings. We'll see if Division 1 has a name.
Hopefully it will.
We'll see if any other drama unfolds. But until then, thank you guys so much for listening, and good luck on all your matchups this week.
Except Jake Logan.
And except for Lassie.
Good night.
Goodbye. This episode of the Anyone But Cam Fantasy Football Podcast is brought to you by Roku. Hey Cam, why isn't our Roku working?
I don't know. This remote can't turn it on.
Well, honestly, this remote is too small to turn anything on.
Suck it, Jake Logan.